Bloody hell, how has it been 5 years since Parasite won Best Picture? God, it felt like it was 5 minutes ago, not 5 years ago. I swear to God, as I'm getting older, time is getting faster. Hey up everybody! So today's movie I'm discussing on the channel is the latest film from master filmmaker Bong Joon Ho, Mickey 17, which is his highly anticipated follow-up to his beloved film Parasite, which came out 5 years ago. And that film is not only one of the best films of modern times, it's also the first ever recipient of Best Picture at the Academy Awards to not be in the English language, okay? If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you'll know how much I love Parasite. It made it into my top 10 of my top 100 movies of the previous decade series. And it's also a top 4 for me on Letterboxd. So it's safe to say that Mickey 17 was up there as probably my most anticipated film of 2025. I mean, this film was supposed to come out in 2024, so we had to wait another year for it. But yeah, after the global and history-making success of Parasite, Bong Joon Ho had pretty much free reign to make whatever he wanted to make. Okay, the world was at his feet, we were very excited to see what he would do next, and so he went with an adaptation of Edward Ashton's sci-fi novel, Mickey 7. Yeah, that's right, 7 Mickeys wasn't enough for Bong Joon Ho, he had to up the ante and give us 17 Mickeys. In Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson plays Mickey Barnes, the titular Mickey, who flees Earth in order to escape the wrath of a brutal mob boss. He gets a job for what's called an expendable on this space expedition to colonize an ice planet known as Niflheim, which is being led by the fascist leader, Kenneth Marshall, who's played by Mark Ruffalo, and his wife, Ilfa, played by Toni Colette. And as an expendable, Mickey is essentially a glorified guinea pig, a lemming, or if this was Star Trek, a red shirt, who is sent out to do all the dangerous, life-threatening tasks during the mission, often resulting in his death. But the thing about being an expendable is, if you die, they can just reprint another version of you out of this like 3D printing machine. This technology is illegal back on Earth, they can only do it legally in space. But yeah, Mickey has had his memories and his personality downloaded into this brick, so that each time Mickey dies, they can just reprint out his body, and out comes a new Mickey with all the previous memories of all the other previous Mickeys. At the start of the movie, we're on Mickey 17, which means he has died 16 times previously, and at the start of the movie, it looks like he's about to die again. He's in a precarious situation, but soon, Mickey 17 ends up meeting Mickey 18. Because yeah, the expedition thought that Mickey 17 was dead, so they just printed out a new one, but duplicates are a big no-no. So slapstick ensues as they try to hide the fact that there's 2 of them. And yeah, that's all the plot you need to know. If your first introduction to Bong Joon Ho's work was Parasite, then this is gonna feel very strange to you. But for the Bong aficionados that are watching, Mickey 17 very much does feel like a Bong Joon Ho movie, only with the money, resources, and post-Parasite acclaim to do what he was doing back in the early 2000s and 2010s, only for a more global audience now. This is Bong Unbound. This is Bong with a budget. This is still Bong, only bigger. But is it better than Parasite? Definitely not, but it is still 20 times more interesting and visionary than the usual cookie cutter crap that, like Robert Pattinson in this film, we get reprinted over and over again off the cinematic assembly line. Mickey 17 is all the best things about Bong Joon Ho's movies, all wrapped into one. He's playing with genres, because not only is this a sci-fi, it's also a black comedy, a creature feature, a bit of an action movie, and a satire. And often throughout the film, Bong Joon Ho is demonstrating some serious tonal gymnastics. A prime example of this is the private dining scene between Mickey and Kenneth and his wife. In one scene, you go from uncomfortable and disgusted by the questionable slab of meat that Mickey is eating off his plate. The next, you're laughing uncontrollably at Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette singing a gospel song. And the next, you're on the edge of your seat as something happens to Mickey. I won't say what, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But this whole scene is an emotional roller coaster of up and down, loop-de-loops of different genres, and amazingly, none of it felt out of place. That just shows you how much of a master Bong Joon Ho is at what he does. But yeah, as I was watching Mickey 17, I was getting different flavors of Bong Joon Ho's work, because like the dingy aesthetic and the campy antagonists of Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette was giving me Snowpiercer. The cute and cuddly woodlouse alien creatures on the ice planet were giving me Okja. The classical music juxtaposed with the absurdity was giving me Parasite. And the political and social commentary was giving me, well, every Bong Joon Ho movie, really. And that might be why Mickey 17 ultimately felt like it came up a little bit short for me. While it's certainly interesting and unique and very Bong, It does feel like it's a little overstuffed with too many ideas. It's almost saying too much to the point where when I walked away from it, I didn't quite know what to take away from it. It's been a few days since I've watched this film, but Mickey 17 hasn't lingered with me like Parasite did. All of Bong Joon Ho's films are steeped in social, political, and philosophical allegory, but the difference between Parasite and Mickey 17 is the satirical observations in Mickey 17 are very blatant, very on the nose. Whereas with Parasite, the satire was very subtle and embedded. It gave the audience food for thought as they left the cinema. It was the type of film that was fun and entertaining in the moment, but it left you thinking about what it all meant for days, weeks, or in my case, months. With Mickey 17, because the characters are so over the top and cartoony and the messaging is about as subtle as dysentery, I left the cinema feeling full, but not as nourished as I was with Parasite. Mickey 17 was like fast food, but Parasite was like a 3-course Michelin star meal. Both satisfying, but one felt more special than the other. I will say the acting in Mickey 17 was great. Robert Pattinson did an exceptional job of playing all the Mickeys. He was really funny in this. Probably the funniest he's been since The Lighthouse. But yeah, not only was he hilarious, but he was also very sympathetic in some scenes, particularly when he's playing Mickey 17, as he's subjected to so much cruelty and abuse from pretty much everybody on the ship, other than his girlfriend Nasha, who's played by Naomie Ackie, who's also excellent. And even though Mark Ruffalo and Toni Colette were so cartoony in this, they didn't feel out of place in this world. When it comes to Mark Ruffalo's characterization, we know exactly who he was going for with his cadence, his body language, his gestures, his delivery on certain words. It was blatantly obvious, but again, this film isn't shooting for subtlety. I also really appreciate Fiona Crombie's production design in this. The design of the spaceship that they're on feels very industrial and bleak, but it really did give the world an authentic feel. The visual effects were also incredible too, and not just like on the alien wood-lousy creatures, or the creepers as they're called. They looked very believable, but more so the scenes where Robert Pattinson is interacting with himself, Mickey on Mickey. But yeah, the scenes where we get multiple Mickeys is very seamless. What's impressive is like their eye line is like always perfect. Shall we talk about its Oscars chances, given that Bong Joon Ho's previous film swept at the Oscars? But do I see Mickey 17 being an Oscars player? This might come as a surprise to some of you, but honestly, not really now. Whilst I think Mickey 17 would be absolutely deserving of some nominations for visual effects, production design, and sound, I doubt it will get any Oscar nominations, simply because of the release date of this film being literally the same weekend after, the Oscars that we just had. Mickey 17 would have to go the distance of a whole year and still be in people's minds when they come to fill out their ballots. Not only is the timing of this film's release working massively against it, but it is also a zany black comedy sci-fi, okay? It's not typically what the Academy honors. I know they do sometimes acknowledge a sci-fi film like Dune or Avatar or even Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity, but yeah, they don't typically go for the silly sci-fi movies. With the Academy, if they're going to acknowledge a sci-fi film for Best Picture, then they're going to go for something a little bit more cerebral, like a Denis Villeneuve film, or just a James Cameron film. But I would argue that the world building of Mickey 17 is just as impressive as anything in a James Cameron movie. So yeah, while I think Mickey 17 is worthy of getting some nominations in a few tech categories, I doubt it's gonna go the distance and get any. But what do you guys think? Is Mickey 17 getting any Oscar nominations? If so, which ones? Let me know in that comment section down below. I just love that the 2025 Oscars were like 5 minutes ago and I'm already talking about the Oscars 2026. But is it ever too early to start predicting next year's Oscars? Anyway, shall we ask them 3 questions? Firstly, would I watch this again? Absolutely. The thing about Bong Joon Ho is nobody is making movies like he does. He always gives us something fun, something thought-provoking, and something unexpected. Obviously, going into Mickey 17, I had stupidly high expectations, so it's not surprising that the film did fall a little bit short for me. But now that my expectations have been met, I'm looking forward to watching this film a second time with no anticipation. It didn't reach Parasite levels of greatness, but very few films do. But there was still a lot about this movie that I really love, so yeah, I would happily watch this film again, and I will definitely be adding Mickey 17 to my collection as well. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Absolutely, just don't go into it expecting Parasite levels of brilliance, but do give it a go, especially in the cinema. Just go in with an open mind. There is a lot to enjoy about this movie, some serious directorial flexing from Bong. The performances are super enjoyable, particularly Robert Pattinson, and the world building of this film is top tier. There are a lot of ideas in it, there is a lot to unspool, but it's still far more interesting and engaging than your typical average blockbuster. Okay, you've not really seen a mainstream, big budget, popcorn sci-fi movie like this before. This film will probably surprise a lot of people, but I think a lot of people will also be delighted by it because it is wacky, it is madcap, it is weird and quirky, but it is just so entertaining as well. So yeah, my recommendation would be to watch this film in a cinema, watch it on the big screen, watch it with some mates as well. It's a good movie to watch with friends. All of Bong Joon Ho's movies are great films to watch with friends. I literally had a Parasite viewing party at my flat this week in preparation for Mickey 17. So yeah, I guess a recommendation from me. And third question, what score to give it out of 10? I can only really judge Bong to Bong's own standards. The man doesn't miss, but sometimes his movies just hit harder than others do. And Mickey 17 had a lot to live up to, following in the footsteps of Parasite. I do think that Mickey 17 was a little bit scattershot with his script, just a few too many ideas, not enough focus. But still, overall, I had a pretty good time with Mickey 17. I just don't think it quite reaches greatness. So I'm gonna give Mickey 17 a score of 8 out of 10. But as always, guys, it is just one bloke's opinion. I would love to hear from you. Have you seen Mickey 17? If you have, what do you make of this movie? How would you rate it? Where would it rank for you in all of Bong Joon Ho's filmography? Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. If you guys have enjoyed this video, help me out by hitting that little thumbs up button. It's very good for the algorithm. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Lukehearfield, and I'll see you next time.